Okay, so this video is going to help you get through the notes for lesson 1.5. The first thing you need to know is this is a lesson all about word problems with quadratics. So what we're going to do to start with is look at consecutive integers. So that's part A. And basically what we're looking at, consecutive integers are numbers that are next to each other on the number line. So if I were looking at like the number 1, it's consecutive then to 2, and 2 is consecutive to 3, and so on. So if my number is 1, I would add 1 to that to get to 2, and so on. So that is where these numbers here were coming from. Consecutive integers are 1 apart from each other. Consecutive evens and odds are 2 apart from each other. So for example, if I were at -1, I would have to add 2 to that to get to 1. I would have to add 2 to that to get to 3. So I keep adding 2. Your even numbers work the same way. The goal on number 11 here is to get you to find 2 consecutive even numbers whose product is 168. So because we're doing 2 consecutive even, we're going to take these 2 right here, and that's what I've inserted right there. And I take their product, and that's 168. I'm going to subtract the 168 over to the right, to the left, and then over here I'm factoring and solving. Now you'll get 2 sets of answers. You'll get -14 and 12 from the factoring, but if you add 2 to that and add 2 to this one, so if you add 2 to the -14 and 2 to the 12, you'll get -12 and 14. So -14 times -12 is 168, and then 12 times 14 is also 168. For this next problem, you're going to find 2 consecutive odd integers that when you add the squares together, you get 202. So because I was doing consecutive odd integers, I went back up here and I looked for 2 consecutive odd integers, which were these 2, and it's the sum of the squares. So I squared each of them, and then to square n plus 2 right here, I have to FOIL that out. So that's n plus 2 times n plus 2. Once I FOILed it out and I've collected everything on one side, I noticed that I could divide everything by 2, so I did that. And then I went up here and I factored. Again, I get 2 answers. I get 9 and 11, and then 11 and -9. The 9 and the 11 are coming from these factors right here. So that's the 9, that's the -11. Then I'm going to add 2 to each of those to get these. So 9 and 11 multiply to be 202. If I square 9 and I square 11, I get 202. And if I square these 2, I also get 202 when I add them together. And there's 2 practice problems for you. The next group of problems involves the Pythagorean theorem. And so what I've got here for you is the Pythagorean theorem again. C is called your hypotenuse right here, and it's the longest side on your triangle. Over here in blue, I rewrote the problem. And then in the pink or red, we wrote down expressions for what we're talking about. So we let x over here be the shorter leg in the triangle. Then if the longer leg is 10 meters shorter than twice the shorter leg, we took 2x minus 10. And we put that right here. And then we know the longer leg is, the hypotenuse is 20 meters longer than this long leg. So we added 20 to it, and we got 2x plus 10, and that's what's right here. Then we set up the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. And we FOILed and we collected like terms and everything, and we got it down to this blue statement, and we factored it. It didn't make sense to get 0 for an answer, so 80 is it. And then we plugged 80 back in and found the other 2 sides. We set up number 3. This is number 3 right here. And then we set up number 4 on the practice problems. So they're ready to go for you. You just need to do the FOILing and the solving part. After that, we went into a physics application. We're using this equation right here from physics. Your velocity goes right there in the formula. This is your acceleration constant. S stands for height. So S right there is height. And for the first question, you want to know, when will the projectile be 100 meters above the ground? So 100 becomes your S, and we just plug that in right here into the formula. So that's the 100. And then basically you just pull everything to one side and we use the quadratic formula. We got 2 times, 1.5 seconds, and 13.5. And then on the last question, it's when will it, how long does it take for it to go back to the ground? So when something is on the ground, that means your position, or your S, would equal 0. And so that's why I put the equation equal to 0. And then we factored it, and time equals 0 doesn't make any sense, because if the time is 0, you haven't even, shot the object yet. So it returns to the ground after 15 seconds. To get you started here on number 5, you're going to plug 96 in for V of t. And then that's the equation you're going to use. I hope this was helpful. Since you've been absent from school, I just wanted to make sure you kind of got what we were doing today. And then we'll go on from there. So I'm going to try every day that you're absent to post a video for you to help you kind of get through the notes. What I need you to do on your end is take notes just like you did before. Work on the practice problems, try to keep up with those assignments, and please communicate me, with email if you run into any trouble or if you get stuck. And I'm happy to help you. Thank you.